Hey, Andrea, merry belated Christmas. You
Merry
look very
Christmas!
festive in your red.
I know, look at us matching.
It's fun. I do love red. I was telling my husband that because he's at work today, and here I am working today, and I see you're working today. I remember when I was a kid, my mom would take her 2 weeks of vacation, and we lived
Mhm.
in Oklahoma, and we would go to Illinois, and we would spend 2 weeks with my grandparents every Christmas,
Yep,
and
I
my
love
aunts
that.
and uncles would take 2 weeks off, and they would do the same thing. Now,
Mhm.
since I'm older than dirt, this was the '80s, right? And so what we did, there wasn't cell phones. Like,
Yeah.
all there was my
Mhm.
grandparents' landline, there wasn't the internet, and so nobody could reach you. Nobody
Yeah.
wanted to reach you. Everybody was with their family, and we, like, did family puzzles, we did board games, we'd watch movies together,
Mhm.
and, I think there's an element in society that is they're losing something really, really valuable.
Yeah.
You know, my husband and I have been honoring Shabbat for the last several years on Saturdays, but, Charlie Kirk would suggest that you turn off your phone for that time,
Yep.
and I struggle to do that because I'm doing so many things, but, I think we really need to unplug some. I just
Mhm.
really this holiday season, I really felt it that I was like, we really are just too plugged in to the point that you get a million Merry Christmases and stuff, and I'm sorry to everyone that sent a Merry Christmas. I only responded to a few of them because I didn't wanna spend my whole day on the phone saying Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, there's an element of our families that we need to put back in society that we need to focus on and
Yeah.
say, "This is what's most important."
Well, and I think the freedom fighters like you've been at the front of this. Tom's been at the front of it. A lot of my
You
closest
too.
friends. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been but I've been with you guys. I think a lot of us, I mean, and Ann Vandersteel and I have talked about it as well, like just everyone in the fight. I think we were all hoping, right, that this would be like we're just gonna hit the ground hard and we're gonna focus and a couple years into this we'll make some headway. And 5 years later, I'm encouraged by a lot of stuff that's going on for good. Trump is doing a lot of good things. His administration is doing a lot of good things. I love what Bobby's doing with Maha. I love, some of the progress we've made. But at the end of the day, I think we all have to sit back and go, this is, like we've said, this is a fight against good and evil. Evil's always there. The devil's always been there. Mankind's been fighting this evil for a long time. And the freedom fighters, we were all hoping that 5 years into this fight, we'd be able to relax and kick back a little bit. But as far as the work, honestly, it's only increasing because that we already gave ourselves to it. We're not giving up. So it's like if the enemy doubles down, we double down again. And so I think now we're at a point where we realize we have to pace ourselves and we have to still really go inward during these holidays. And if we're doing it for our kids, like I've said a million times, you're doing this for the future of our nation and for your
Right,
kids. You
right.
need to still give them a childhood. And that's something Clay Clark and I've talked about too. Our kids deserve a childhood still. So like what you're talking about, it's so hard to stop because we don't get paid. And that's a lot of what we're going to talk about today is ways we try to fund our
Right.
fight. But we're not sitting back here making a ton of money doing this. But once you started once you've given yourself to a fight, God's put you on this calling. It's a labor of love a lot of times, and we don't realize how plugged in we are 24/7. You have to actively unplug
Right.
because this is a battle that you're passionate about. And again, we're not doing it for money, we're doing it for so much more. And it becomes something that's literally 24/7. It's nonstop.
Well, we know it's a spiritual battle, and,
Mm-hmm.
it turns out as you go down the rabbit hole, we don't ever stop
Yeah.
because, this isn't our home. Our home is when we get to heaven, and so that's when we get to actually rest, and, it's just a lot of paradoxes there that, we have to still be intentional with our families, but yet
Mm-hmm.
still fight. I woke up 20 years before most of the people in the freedom fight woke up and was just called a conspiracy theorist for a couple decades, and I woke up too late.
Mm-hmm.
And so that it's not something that can be turned around in just a short time frame because many decades in the works that we're fighting. But I will say I enjoyed Christmas. I was really
Yes,
excited.
good.
We went to my friend's house Christmas Eve, and it's the first time we didn't do a candlelight service, but we had done it with our ministry the Saturday before. And I drove by and I see empty parking lots and Walmart and Target, and that always
Hmm.
warms my heart that at least
Yes.
the world is stopping for a minute. If
Hmm.
COVID did one good thing, that was it, because remember, they weren't even doing that anymore. Uh,
Hmm.
and so it was that was beautiful to see. And then I woke up and, you know, Andrea, I was talking to you this morning and was cracking up because I'm looking at pictures with you and your boys, and you guys had like a Lego Star Wars Christmas. And I had 3 boys, and all the boys are grown, and now I have 3 girls.
Yeah.
So I remember like Christmases that were like WWE, and we had,
Yeah.
and then we had the Legos, and we had the Star Wars. We had a Spider-Man Christmas a few times, and now, this Christmas was Barbie dolls, and my little girl
Barbies.
wanted a guinea pig, and the 8-year-old got a Barbie dream house, and she actually screamed, "The dream house!" And she ran over to it, and I just thought, how
I love
great
it.
that that's worth getting that excited
Yeah,
over.
me and my boys, we have a funny thing that Santa brings weapons. So we got like swords. We always get swords
Yes,
and BB guns, and it's boy house, right? But
absolutely.
my mom's always sitting there in the back, kind of cringing because they're playing with knives and weapons, and she's like, "So I don't want to have to go to the emergency room on Christmas. Don't point that knife at your brother."
Hilarious.
And but yeah,
I
it's
remember getting
funny the
swords
difference
and
between
stuff.
boys
It's
and girls.
fun.
Yeah. Oh
It
yeah.
is.
Oh yeah.
Now,
So yeah, magic. There was a lot of Christmas magic in my house, but like you said, unless you completely unplug, and I did, I put my phone totally away, turned it off,
yeah,
set it to the side. Unless you totally unplug, there's our kids are being raised in such a different just universe. I mean, when
right.
you look at us, the 80s babies, we always talk about we're like kind of the last generation that, grew up without all this tech. We really were. So the
That's right.
80s kids, it's like, I joke with my kids that the phone was on a cord, on the wall. You
It
can just walk
was.
around
They have
and
no idea. Right.
they have no idea. Yeah.
Isabella saw that. She's like, "How'd you know all the numbers?" And I'm like, "You just did." I'm like, those numbers are now my pin because I remember them, but for different cards. But I'm like, and then you had a list by the phone for the most dialed numbers, and you had a big phone book, but you just knew
And
the
if I
numbers.
left the house, I left with some change in my pocket because if I didn't hit a payphone to check in with my mom after a couple hours, I'd be in trouble.
But you could always do
So it was a
collect where it
payphone.
says,
Yeah,
"Collect
that's
call
true.
from Mom. This is
But it was
charity."
like if I didn't call my mom every couple hours from a payphone, you'd be like at the mall going, where's the payphone? I got to call my mom.
Right.
It's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
wild.
different
Yeah.
different well, that's why Gen X is, the baddest generation that there is
Yeah.
left because, we experience anyway, that's a whole different story. But, I did get this. We went to Scheels, and
Hmm.
my girls, like, got excited because they did the Ferris wheel inside and all that.
Yeah. We have a big
But I
Shields here too. We love Shields.
Oh, I love it.
Hmm.
But we went my dog Moses, who is a big, lab, and he's just the most lovable. He's a rescue dog. We're not sure exactly how old he is. So he's kind of an old man, but he's definitely a little boy. Like, he's the oldest little boy I've ever met. And we got him a pig squeak toy that I could not
Oh, I
wait
got
to
one of
give
those
him,
too. Ones that makes the noise that goes
but
like
it
bleh,
grunts.
bleh.
Yes, it does a squeak with grunt. He loves it. He
Gus,
lo
and we're going to be talking about pets on this show the whole day. So, Gus, I have a boxer. And again, I've
Yes,
had tons of dogs in my life. I love dogs. I can never not have dogs around me. My kids tease
right.
that I'm going to have like 12 dogs after they move out of the house. I'm like, oh yeah, you're both beginning to
That's
replace with like 2
happening.
more
Right.
dogs. But I have my boy right now is a boxer, and I've never had a boxer. And they're goofy, they're lovable, but they are not the smartest breed. Okay, he's kind of goofy, like he's like all the time. And my boys got him one of those as a gift around the holidays. And it's so funny because I have family coming in and out for the holiday, and when he squishes it, it almost sounds like he's like barfing or like he
Oh,
hit
it's
something.
hilarious. It
So
grunts.
my mom is like, every time he hits the pig, she's like, what? She like freaked her out. Like she's like, she'd have like a heart attack every time he hit the pig because it's like, blah. It's so cute. I love those toys.
Oh my,
So,
there it is. It
does
was
he
a lot
love
of fun.
his pig?
Well, he loves it, right? So, like, every time he, like, wags his whole second half of his body as he's bringing it to me, And then I have the little Shih Tzu too. Remember you've met.
Yeah, I like the
And
fluffies.
yes, and, well, that was because, I had a baby every 5 or 6 years, and when the baby turned 5, Randy said, "Here is the Shih Tzu. Take this,
So that you
baby
don't have
this."
another baby.
So, no, this is a
to,
true
to
thing.
combat the baby fever, your
I would
husband bought you a
absolutely
puppy.
probably if I was not 47, I would definitely and I
Oh yeah.
still am like, my friend just had a baby, I got to hold a newborn at Christmas, and I'm like, "I want another baby," and
Yeah.
Randy's like, "No, we're looking at 50. That is not happening." But anyway, that's so the pig is too big for him to share with the Shih Tzu, so the Shih Tzu can't steal the pig, and so it's really just a toy for him, and he loves it.
Yeah,
But
yeah. The
we are
pig's almost too big, and I have a big. My Gus is a big boxer. It's like too big for him to wrap his mouth around, so he
is
hasn't
great.
really been able to destroy it yet because he destroys toys usually in about 10 seconds flat.
Yes.
So it's
Yeah.
great because he's like trying to chew it, but it's the funniest. Anyway, pets are the best.
Shields, that was the best. I got mine 50% off at Shields. I don't know if you got yours on sale, but that was the best dog toy I've ever seen, and I've always had dogs. So that was I should have like called them and said, "Hey, I need promotional material from or something, a kickback because I'm gonna sell these for you." And so I never called them. I get no money, but the pig from Shields that grunts is the coolest pig dog toy I've ever seen. It's so much fun.
Yeah,
But
I
we've
love
got
it.
some pet lovers
Yes,
coming
we have
on
pet lovers
today.
coming on.
You introduced me to Kim and Diana.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, welcome to the show.
Okay, let's bring him on. Hold on.
Let's
Let me
bring
get
him on.
my tech going here.
Okay.
All right. Diana.
Hey, how are ya?
Hey, Diana, how are you?
Well, and I'm laughing. I'm sitting here going, you guys are babies. I'm 67.
Aw.
We didn't even have phones in a lot of houses. And if you did, they were party lines, right?
Yeah, the party lines. Yep.
You listen to somebody else talking and had to tell them
Yes.
to stop so you could call.
Yeah, take turns.
Way down that rabbit hole.
I love it. I love it.
Well, I grew up in a really small town, and so when I was really little, there's when I was a kid, some people still had party lines if they didn't live in town.
Yeah.
And then you only needed to dial the one number instead of all 3 digits to dial out when I was a kid.
Well, and remember the first 3 numbers were words. It was like Stadium 4 or Republic 3. And then
I did not know that.
Oh yeah, so like my grandmother's numbers, Stadium 4, Republic 3. They all had a word, a number, and then 4 numbers.
I love that.
Yeah.
So you guys, what do you think this next generation has a chance? I mean, they're not going to know what to do if cell phones go down and they've got this rotary thing. They're not going to know how to handle that. If we write things in cursive, we have a secret code. They don't know what is going to happen. Only the homeschooled kids are going to survive if there's ever a blackout or
Did
anything.
you guys see that video of the a power that went out somewhere? I can't remember where it was, and all of the driverless Ubers just came to a stop.
Oh my goodness, that
didn't know what
scares
to
me.
do. It was terrifying. That they showed all these Ubers like screeching to a
Wow.
halt, and they were stuck, and they didn't know what to do.
Where was this at?
I have to find it. I'm sure you could Google it. It was really terrifying.
I know San Francisco just had a really big weird blackout, but those driverless cars are so creepy, and they don't even try to make them not creepy. But it's funny because, like, again, we're talking about our kids will probably that's just going to be commonplace.
Oh, yeah.
I look at the driverless cars and I'm like, ew, no, never going to do that.
No.
Never going to do that.
Those of
that's-
us that have our
that's the
names
future.
on lists, that scares the crap out of me.
Oh yeah, they're not going to let me out of the car, and then they're just going to drive me right to
remember
the concentration, the
there was a show I
Or
think,
education camp.
Something.
I think there's a show called Upload. I think that's what it's called, where the car actually was programmed to not let the guy out and take him and kill him. And
No, I've seen it. I've seen
that's
at least
terrifying.
reels from it, I think.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
They try to warn us about this stuff and then we just do it. You know, Alex Jones has been saying it forever. And I know Charity's a big Alex Jones fan. It's like, I watched his stuff and I'm like, he told you, like X-Files told you and Alex Jones told you, and then we're
The
still doing it.
Terminator told you about AI, guys. Knock it off.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and you were saying earlier about waking up 20 years ago. I woke up 20 years ago too, even longer than that. And I have a shirt that said, "I used to be known as the conspiracy theory girl. Now I'm known as the girl that was always right."
I have one. I have
love
one
that
of those.
Yes, I love that shirt.
You know what I love about Charity? Charity's my bestie, and I remember she was telling me, "Oh, I woke up a long time ago," and she goes, "I just remember being pissed when they told me I had to wear a seatbelt," and I was laughing at her, going, "What?" She goes, "How dare you tell me I have to?" And then when you really think about it, though, she's totally right. And Charity, I was just looking at some legislation I think I just saw on my newsfeed in California, and I haven't vetted it out, but it was I think the Hodge twins shared it or someone, so I think it's legit. But they're now saying that kids up to 16 need to be in booster
16 years
seats.
old.
Booster seats. And it makes me think
Yeah,
of Charity.
it is real. It is real.
Yeah.
From 8 to 16 now, I have to be in booster seats.
What?
Yeah.
Well, and I remember like when I had my kids and you're putting the, you're getting the car seats, they go, up to like 90 pounds, they might still need to be in like a booster. And I'm like, I was 90 pounds, my when I went to prom. So what was I supposed to be in a booster seat on my way to prom?
Exactly. With the new law, that is what they meant, Andrea. It's up to 16.
Yeah, it says like, it says 16, and I think there's like a weight thing.
16. There is
but Charity,
what's happening
no weight. It's 16.
That was California, of course.
Yeah,
of course it was California.
And it passed. I did see that. Yeah.
So
does that mean if you're visiting California?
Oh yeah, you have to follow it. Well, my car's
visit.
at the California border. It just
don't visit California, guys.
So if you get a rental car at the airport, is it going to come with booster seats?
I'm sure.
Like, this is just insanity. Yeah. And I'm sure there's some company that makes booster seats that, is owned by the WEF that's making money off of this.
Like, have they ever dealt with a 14 or 15-year-old kid? Oh, tell that kid they got to get in a booster seat.
Are they supposed to be in a booster seat when they're driving? Like, what are we talking about? This is just insanity. But the whole point of me bringing that up is I love the things that was in Charity's brain with her discernment long time ago, before 9/11, before the Patriot Act. I mean, she says 9/11 is kind of like the nail in the coffin, right? We saw 9/11 hit. We saw the Patriot Act happen. We're like, well, there goes our Constitution and there goes all of our rights. But here we are today. And again, like I said at the beginning of the show, it's like 5 years into the freedom fight against COVID and the lockdowns and all that tyranny. And a lot of it we're still fighting, and it's a bummer, some of it that we're still fighting. We have our victories, but again, it's important to unplug, like you were saying, Charity. Spend time with your pets and your kids and your family like you would have done before all of this tech, like we did in the 80s. Because that's the only way we're going to stay strong. And again, I really do feel like the devil tries to take us out. I've had a lot of friends that are sick lately, that have had accidents, that have found out that they have, and we'll talk about this with the mushrooms, they've been diagnosed with diseases. And I think a lot of it is stress. I think a lot of us that have been awake for a long time, the devil's going to try to take you out any way he can. And so you have to really focus on family and your faith and stay strong, mind, body, and spirit.
Well, and they're poisoning us, right? Every way. I'm sorry. They're poisoning us in the food. They're poisoning us in the air. Yeah. They're poisoning everybody. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Diana.
COVID did anything good for us. It was to enlighten the majority of people on the immune system and how important it is. That was what came out of COVID that really was eye-opening for everybody. They now understand the immune system is our first body of defense. It's what God gave us to defend against everything. And if we just keep it strong, and if we just keep it healthy and give it support, it can really ward off just about everything that can happen to our body. So it is the fight. We laugh about the mushroom. We say we feel like David and Goliath. We've got our little mushroom and we're like, trying to hit everything we can because we know what it can do for people's immune systems.
So tell us about that. What can it do how does this work? How is it helping immune systems?
Well, and Kim's going to go into a little deep dive on mushrooms with some really fun facts. And I'm going to talk a little bit about New Year's, but how does this work? So first of all, it's such an honor to be here. And I appreciate what you ladies are doing. I appreciate the fight. I've been in the fight to the point where we've all lost friends. We've all lost family. We've all lost lots of things over staying as true as we can to what we believe needs to happen in this country. But thank you for doing this platform and for welcoming us on. We're known as the Mushroom Ladies, and we're here to educate, and we're here to talk about our animals, and we're here to talk about people, and what a simplistic thing that God put on this planet can do for us, and that is a mushroom. There are many different mushrooms. We've all heard it. Mushroom this, mushroom that, mushroom coffee. I mean, it's kind of like the craze right now. And there are a lot of imposters out there, and we'll talk about that. But our flagship mushroom is called the Polyellus versicolor mushroom. There are 400 medical studies on this product. We have our company started working with this product back in the 90s, but because of Big Pharma, because of all the regulations, it was very hard to do a whole lot with it. And then we started looking at what was happening to our animals. In 1970, a golden retriever made it to 17. Now we can't even make it to 9. Diabetes, 6 million new cases of diabetes for dogs. Are you kidding? We were all talking about our age difference. We didn't have a dog with cancer when we were growing up. We didn't have a dog with diabetes. And now 25% rise in cancer this year alone in our animals. 50% of all animals that die in the vet's office die from cancer. So what is it? Like, what's happening? Well, I think it's truly an attack It's an attack on our animals, just like on our people. Big Pharma is involved. It's a $34 billion business. I mean, the amount of money that veterinarians, and I love veterinarians, so don't get me wrong, we need them for certain things, just like doctors, but they're only doing what they're taught. And we'll get into this whole new RNA vaccine that they're introducing. But, we've got Big Pharma and the cabal that's controlling the pet industry, just like it's controlling the medical industry for people. They're forcing synthetic drugs on our dogs. And these poor babies are having liver failure and all kinds of other kidney failure because they're over vaccinated, they're over prescribed. And this story was the one that probably got me most. I met a woman from a podcast. She had her dog on 10 medications, including Prozac. And as I went through the list with her, we consulted with a holistic vet, and we got this pup off everything except 2 minor heart medications, put him on mushroom therapy, put him on a good nutritional program, and put him on mineral therapy. At the end of the day, she was spending $450 a month on meds for her dog. We got it down to $110. Then I found out she was living on $650 Social Security.
What?
Which tells you exactly what we will do emotionally for our animals. We'll take our animals to the vet before we'll go to the doctor. We'll do anything we can. And part of the problem is that people think that they're doing right by their animals, and they go into the food store, the big box store, and they see all these foods, and then they see this one food with vegetables raining down, and it says all natural, and they go, oh yeah, this must be good. And what they don't realize that 95% of the foods in the big box stores are made by Mars, Smuckers, and Nestle. I mean, it's terrible what we're doing. It's terrible what we're doing to our animals. And it breaks my heart because it's not intentional. So what do we do? And how does this all work? Well, we work with the Coriolis versicolor mushroom. It is a mushroom with 400 medical studies. The Pennsylvania School of Veterinary Medicine put out the most incredible study that said, and I quote, if your dog gets cancer and it takes the Coriolis versicolor mushroom, it will live longer and healthier. Plain and simple.
Wow.
And yeah, that's for a university to put that in writing, they got pushback. That they probably had to make sure every I was dotted, every T was crossed. But the Coriolis versicolor mushroom for humans and for animals is the first line of protocol in Japan for the big C. But here, of course, that's never going to happen because Big Pharma can't synthesize it. They can't patent it because it's from nature. And so therefore it gets pushed aside. I'll tell you quickly my cancer story, because I do think that whenever we do a podcast like this, there's always one person that this touches. And I always walk away from a podcast saying, if I can help one person or one animal, that's what I want to do. I was diagnosed with colon cancer in February of 2020, right when pandemic had hit. It was a crazy time to be going to the doctor. Everything was via video. And when I went into the hospitals, there was hazmat suits and plastic. It was like a scene from Outbreak, the movie. I had nothing in my toolbox except this mushroom. I knew about the mushroom. I had been working with it for a while. And so I consulted with the people in our company and that know the most and said, what do I do? And they said, well, normal dose for maintenance to keep you healthy, keep your immune system strong is 1 per 50 pounds. I weighed 150 pounds. 3 would have been normal. They suggested I triple up. So I took 10 a day. 30 days later, I got the call that I had been approved for surgery. It took them 30 days to approve a colon surgery when I had a tumor that could erupt, burst, and kill me. But that was during the pandemic, right? I went in for blood work, came home, got a call 14 hours later, and it was my oncologist on a video with a big smile on his face. And he said, what are you doing? And I just thought that was so freaking bizarre. What do you mean what I'm doing? I'm packing a bag to go to the hospital, I think. I'm hoping this tumor doesn't explode. What do you mean? He goes, honey, you're in remission. And those words, I knew they were good, but I really didn't know what does that mean? What does it mean that I'm in remission? And he explained that every cancer has a marker. My markers were off the charts. It should have been 2.5. That day, I was 0.05.
Wow.
And he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm taking the Corialis versicolor mushroom." And he said, "I know nothing about it. Send me everything you have." And this is where I have to applaud him, because he easily could have said, "No, don't take that." He didn't. He didn't say take it. He just said, "Send me everything you have." But what was sad to me is this is a man of medicine. This is a man of oncology, and he didn't know about this, right? So I did do chemotherapy for 6 hard months because I had a very aggressive very aggressive cancer that was a 40% chance of reoccurrence without chemo, 10% chance of current reoccurrence with chemo. And my husband and I prayed about it. We had originally said no chemo, but I couldn't argue with the numbers. But what I saw was a study from Sloan Kettering that said this mushroom with the PSP and the PSK, which is a form of extraction, and we'll explain that later, literally can complement chemotherapy. So 6 months of hard chemotherapy, I never threw up. I didn't lose my hair. I didn't look like a cancer patient or a chemo patient. And it was because my body was being given the support that it needed to repair, rebuild, replenish, rejuvenate while it was being destroyed by chemotherapy. I came out of it 6 months later with better numbers than I went into it with. My bone density actually improved, which is unheard of during chemotherapy. And so many things happened for me that I realized that God works in strange ways. We all know that. God did this for me, not to me, so that I could scream this from the rafters, so that I could share with people how something so simple, so God-given, that we have abundantly can help us through many, many things. And it's pretty simple. When you ask, how does it work? It's very simple. It just supports the immune system. That's how amazing this is. So I'm going to have Kim go through and just share a couple really fun facts on mushrooms. So Kim, take it away.
Well, thank you. Let's see. So we share 50% of our DNA with mushrooms.
Wow.
Yeah.
50%? Hold on. Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are they a fruit or a vegetable? They're neither. They are a fungi. I mean, most people probably know that, which are distinct in nature. They are classified as their own kingdom, separate from animals and plants. Mushrooms are grown and harvested year-round in nearly every state. Pennsylvania produces the most. And mushrooms require a small amount of land. You can grow in 1 acre 1 million pounds of mushrooms, which is crazy. Mushrooms can grow indoors 24/7, 365. Mushrooms have a unique growing process, unlike any other produce item, and are considered one of the most sustainably produced foods in the United States. Unlike green plants, mushrooms don't need light to grow. Mushrooms double in size every day. They are fat-free, low in calories, cholesterol-free, gluten-free, and low in sodium. Mushrooms can come in different shapes, sizes, and colors. Some are grown in damp areas with traditional stalk and cap type fungi. Others are grown in dry areas, looking more like rings of the bark of a tree, and rather than the squishy type of mushrooms. The Corialis versicolor mushroom is a crusty, thin, hard type of fungus that can be found growing on the sides of hardwood trees. One of its many nicknames is turkey tail, thanks to its unique coloring and growing patterns. Mushrooms contain some vitamin D1. But mushrooms have a unique ability to increase the vitamin D amounts, even if they are dried up. And most mushrooms go through a four stages of growth. In the wild, mushrooms can go through 5 stages of growth and life cycles. It is imperative that the strain you get of the Corialis versicolor mushroom is not from its fruited body, as it has lost all of its potency. So not all Coriolis versicolor mushrooms are created equal. And the Coriolis versicolor mushroom, with its PSK and its PSP for pets and humans, is hated by Big Pharma. Why? Because this mushroom cannot be recreated, synthesized, or patented. It is pure and simple. The immune system gets its support, then goes to work. And we have mushrooms for animals, and they are in Mush Puppies, the Mush Puppies Plus, the Super Sauce, and the Mush Ponies for our equine friends and larger dogs. Our human product, Enforce, and the Enforce Plus are our core products. And we also have a kid-friendly product, and I like them too. The gummies and the cookies, and they're all completely natural, no junk in them at all. And that's with our other products as well. And we have 4 complementary mushrooms products, and we will, as we move forward with this community, we'll share more about that. And our human line of mushrooms and our mineral support. And I'll turn it back to Diana. Thank you.
Thanks for the fun facts. You know what I love is the whole DNA thing. Isn't that crazy? We share 50% of our DNA.
That's amazing to me. You know, and this treats more than just cancer, right? So
Oh my gosh.
It's just your immune system. Yeah.
Wait, it doesn't treat.
It doesn't
Yeah, we
treat.
can't say it treats.
No treating, no healing.
Lord.
Yeah, no.
It's your own body doing it.
Yeah, we have to be careful. No treating, no healing. This is just
no pharmakia going on
Yeah.
here, but
Oh,
natural, God-given, got it.
Yeah.
Uplift.
And I heard about this from baby Trump first. He had I think a throat or a mouth cancer, and he used it. And then I started doing more research because, again, I sell very few things myself. This is like one of 2 things that I tell people about. And it's not because I make money off of any of it. It's just, I have to have integrity, and I have to make sure that anything I'm sharing with people, I've tried. I don't talk about anything unless I've tried it. I immediately bought some. I met some of these gals down in Vegas. I immediately bought some, and I took a ton. You know how I am, Charity. I'll take a ton of something and get as close to overdosing myself as possible before I present it to an audience. But I had done research and found some athletes that were using it that loved it too, because, and Charity knows I love going to the gym. I'm trying to keep up with my teenage kids who are doing jujitsu and all over the place. It's like, for me, I want energy and immune support. I'm a single mom. I have to stay healthy. I love these mushrooms. I've taken them myself. They're incredible. And I mean, obviously we have the link at the bottom of the screen because you get some there and it helps the Freedom Brigades. It doesn't just help charity, it's not paying off our mortgages, but it's helping us with our mission. But it's also the mission to get this information out is a passion to me.
Yes.
Because I would love to see every human out there and their pets and their kids taking this stuff instead of, during cold and flu season, going and getting antibiotics. I'm telling you, this stuff, this works,
Absolutely.
and it keeps you from getting sick.
Well, our immune systems were created so perfectly. The problem is they've been compromised. Whether for our animals, it's the ground up in the ground. It's the foods we feed. For us, it's the foods we eat. It's everything in our environment. And if we can just get back to giving that immune system the support that it needs to do the job it was intended to do, God created it perfectly. And Kim touched on something, and this is kind of the important thing. There are 200 strains of the Coriolis versicolor mushroom. There are 400 medical studies on it. You have to make sure that what you get is a pure and potent strain. Everyone out there is grabbing at the mushroom business because it's a huge business. So when a mushroom is the most beautiful is when it's in its fully fruited body, kind of like a rose. You know how beautiful a rose is right before it keels over and dies? It's the same thing with mushrooms. Right before they are inert, they literally look the best. Well, that's when most companies are propagating them, harvesting them, drying them, and putting them into lotions, potions, whatever. So it is important that you get a mushroom, the Coriolis versicolor, that has been harvested down in the mycelium state, which is kind of like the root, kind of like the umbilical cord. And by the way, 85% of every step you take on this earth, you are walking on the mycelium network. It holds the planet together. And we'll deep dive into that as we move forward with this community because it's really fascinating. But do be aware, and I'll tell 2 quick stories. We had a little boy who was 3, who had this horrible crusty nose thing every morning. They'd have to put warm compresses on his little nose to peel off all the stuff, and it was just horrible. And they were scheduled on a Tuesday to go and start him on steroids. 3 years old. They had taken him to every medical professional. They just couldn't. So grandma, the mama bears are cool, but the grandma bears, they can get really interesting. She had her little grandson for 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. She opened the Coriol's Versicola capsule, opened it up, put it in his little smoothie. It's just a whole food. It has no medical interactions with anything you take. There are no side effects. And literally the next morning he woke up clear. And she was like, whoa, is this just a fluke? She did it again the next night. Same thing, woke up clear. Did it again Sunday night. Same thing, woke up clear. Now she's thinking, crap, I've got to go and tell my daughter what I've done. And she's not going to be happy. But how can she argue with these results, right? So here we are about 2.5 years later. This little boy is still clear every morning and has not been put on this steroid. And then the second story is an older man who prostate cancer, started on our mushroom. PSA numbers came into a great range where he was really doing well. And then he went to the box store one day and he had forgotten to order because he's not a smart ship kind of guy. He's in his 90s. And he saw turkey tail on the shelf and thought, well, I'll just grab that. Well, 3 months later, I started to notice that he wasn't ordering anymore. And I was hoping that we hadn't lost Harold because he was in his 90s. So I called his wife and she said, oh, yeah, we screwed up. She said, Harold's numbers are right back up. We're back at the oncologist. And we just placed an order to get the correct ones. By July, he was back with correct numbers. So it is critical that you get the right strain. And, that's what we have to offer at Freedom Brigades. petclub247.com. Now, it is important that you guys understand that this community, what Charity and what Andrea do, they have put their life on hold for you. And we need to support them. We need to support the communities with the things they offer like this, because we can give our money to the big box stores anytime we want. But what are they doing for this fight? And
enslaving you.
And they're not out there giving of themselves like you guys are. And we just appreciate that. May I touch on New Year's Eve real quick?
Absolutely. But I do want to throw in real quick. So I am excited. I am actually going to go get the gummies, but Diana sent me some of the cookies for my my big lab because he's having some issues and with his muscles.
Aw.
And he loves them.
Yeah.
Like, you have to, as soon as I go to the bag and it's time, he is jumping around. He really likes them. So they taste good.
Yeah.
It's not something that feels like a chore. And so that is, and we are seeing results in Moses.
You're
feels
going to see
better.
him moving
You can
better.
tell.
You're gonna see, yeah.
And
Well,
and you sent the horse ones for him because
did.
he's so big.
Yes.
And
You
and
cut
so
them in
we
half, right?
we split the cookie in half. But my 16-year-old thought that was so funny because Moses is big enough to be a small horse. That's hilarious.
Well, everything that we do is affordable. And that product,
Yes.
if you have a large animal, nothing is cheap with a large animal or a horse.
Right.
So literally that ends up being about $15 a month. Where can you
Yeah.
do something for $15 a month, right? And everything that the company does, that was one of the goals that the co-founders had is, look, we're going to make a profit, but we're not going to make a killing. We're going to make a profit, but we're not going to make a killing. And we're going to just use this money to research and how much stuff that we donate. But that brings me into New Year's Eve real quick.
Okay.
This is a really tough time for our animals. It's the number 2 day for runaway animals. It's the number 2 day that our shelters, compared to 4th of July, are filled with lost pups. So why do they hate fireworks? Well, 50% of our dogs have noise-related phobias. Their sense of hearing is 4 times as sensitive as ours. And they can detect these sounds and they can hear frequencies 2 times higher than we can. So this level of stress when the fireworks start going out triggers a flight or fight syndrome. And the dogs just want to run. I mean, people go, what? My dog would never leave. Baloney, he will run. They will run because they just want to get away from the noise. And some breeds are more sensitive than others. We had a dog in the Vegas Valley that was so upset on the 4th of July a few years ago that he kept ramming his nose into the door until he broke his snout because he just wanted to get out and run.
Oh.
And so they just run. And so again, a couple of things we're going to tell you about the upcoming fireworks. You know, just do a few things. First of all, we have a product called Chill Doggies, and all they do is chill the doggy. That's all that they do. It's the lion's mane mushroom, which is really great for cognitive, takes them down a notch. Kind of like, you know, having a glass of wine or something. This kind of takes them down a notch. But this is an amazing product. There's still time if you order to get these, pass them around the neighborhood, and you will be the neighborhood hero when it comes to the dogs, because they will not be screaming and crying and whelping. And, you know, my dog runs in a circle until he literally throws up. So the Chill Doggies are an amazing natural way. They're good for stress. They're good for travel. They're good for anxiety, aggression. They're an amazing product. But this coming New Year's, guys, we just have to be careful. You can wrap them in a thunder shirt. You can swaddle them. You can put them in a room with music. The most important thing is don't leave them. I mean, you know, we all have that urge to want to go out and celebrate, but these guys are a wreck. And that's when destructive things happen. Dogs go through windows. They destroy things. Of course, the Christmas tree is probably still up. That's confusing enough for these dogs. Why did they bring a tree into the house when I can't even bring a stick into the house? I mean, I can go on and on about that. But we just want to make sure that we make this day a really good, safe day. If you take your dog out after the fireworks have started, make sure you have a really secure leash, because they can scale a wall and be gone in no time, and you don't even realize it. And if you want to do something great for your community, buy some Chill Doggies and take them to your local shelter. Those poor shelter people are a mess that night, and they will thank you and they will love you forever for helping them chill the doggies while the fireworks are going off. So yeah,
That's a great idea. I love that.
Well, yeah, it is all about, you know, giving back. What can we do, right? What can we do to help?
Yeah.
What can we do? And this poor shelters, the people that work there, it's a terrible night for them. I mean, all hands are on deck, and animals are coming in left and right because people are finding animals everywhere because they took off. You know, 4th of July is the same way. So yeah, and when you were talking about the gummies, so the gummies, this is the first gummy that I know of that was made with no corn syrup, with nothing not natural. The only thing that we put in this that was a little tough for us was a tiny bit of organic sugar, because we have to keep them separated. And all of our products are made with the utmost of integrity. No wheat, no soy, no sugar, no byproducts, nothing that is dangerous for us. I've tried every single pet product that we have, and they are actually pretty good. The only one that I'm not a huge fan of is our liver treats, because I'm not a big liver girl. But this is just freeze-dried liver with the coils for Sokola mushroom on it. But I tried it because if it's not good enough for me, it's not good enough for my animal, right?
I love it. I love it. And I mean, I want the Patriots out there to understand too. When I first met this company, there's some interesting things with marketing and strategy to get this information out. Because again, of course, the bad guys want to shut these guys down. Of course, Big Pharma doesn't want these guys to be able to get this information out to you guys. So we say the C word, and we don't say that it can cure anything. We just say we really like it and it boosts your immune system. But in Japan, they literally say that this is a great treatment for, like you said, the C word. So, I mean, it's crazy that we have to speak in code, but Charity and I have been speaking in code about the mRNA vaccines and everything for
Ivermectin,
5 years now. And ivermectin, you know, I was told that I was dangerous and going to kill people because I was one of the first people to start taking ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin. And me and my kids take HCQ, ivermectin, fenbendazole. We were like, again, when I find out it's about something, I will take it like a ton to make sure it's safe. I tried to OD on everything, and trust me, I'm just healthier from it because this stuff works. So I'm just trying to, I wanted to say to the Patriots and the Freedom Brigade Nation, Charity's family out there, get behind this and realize that it's not just for your pets, the stuff that's for humans. The reason it's packaged the way it is and the reason they are presenting it to you the way they are is because they're trying to get it to you in the best way without getting shut down.
Right. We have to stay under the radar. And that's why we always lead
Yeah.
with the animal product. And here's what we offer. We offer any consultation. If you email charity@freedombrigades.com, she'll forward us the email. Kim and I answer every email. If you've got an animal with any particular issues, just give us the breed, the age, and what's going on, and we'll get back to you with what we can recommend or what we can suggest. We have to be careful with saying we recommend. You know, Kim and I are not veterinarians. I'm certified in holistic pet care. I'm certified in CBD for animals and humans, and we're both certified in pet nutrition. So we do have a lot of experience in this, but we are not in the medical professional world. We are just very experienced with what we've seen results with something so wholesome and so pure, and what it can do for your animals and yourself. I mean, you know, when you were saying Maha earlier, I was like, yeah, we have a hat that says "Make Animals Healthy Again." And we've got our own kind of Maha going,
Yeah.
right? Because we don't want to see these animals on all these horrible things. And that leads me to a quick note about the vaccine. There is a new vaccine. It is called Novavax. Your vets are going to push it on you and push it on you. It's a one shot fixes everything. It is for cats, Feluke, for rabies, for dogs, it's rabies, parvo, flu. I mean, flu shots for dogs, really. And they literally are pushing this down the throat. So please do some research on it. It was tested on 38 dogs, and then they euthanized 35 of them.
Oh,
And they tested it for a whole 14 days. It is an RNA self-replicating vaccine.
yeah.
And in all the studies, nothing can say how long it replicates for. And then when Tom and I were talking, Tom actually dug up that it's an SANRA,
So
which literally can
spread.
transfer. So when my puppy kisses me, which he does all the time, he can transfer that to me.
yes.
You just need to tell your vet, not right now.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this. The other thing is, do we really need to give our dogs all these vaccines? It's the
No.
same as the children. And do we really need to give them a rabies shot every year? You can get a titer test if you live in a community, or if you're going somewhere where they require testing, get a little blood test. It says the rabies vaccine is present. You're good to go. You can also get an exemption letter from your veterinarian. Most veterinarians, if yours won't, find a new vet. Will give you an exemption letter for the vaccine. So that's just a little public service. You know, we want to keep these guys around, and we're not bad mouthing veterinarians. They're just doing what they're told. You know, they're being bought
yeah.
up. They are
They're
being
great people,
bought
most of them.
like crazy. Kim and I were on with somebody the other day, and they were talking about how many of the veterinarian clinics have gone from private to part of a conglomerate.
Yeah.
And it makes me sad.
Yeah.
But yeah, please email us with any questions, anything at all. We're happy to answer. Charity@freedombrigades.com. She'll forward them to us, and we will get right back to you.
And they will.
Absolutely.
These ladies are the best. So
Yeah.
I appreciate
Awesome.
you ladies coming on. I'm excited about this. I'm very interested in finding out more about these mushrooms. I'm just kind of hitting the tip of the iceberg, but we're seeing good results in our house.
Yep.
And so
It gets better.
very interesting.
God gave us everything that we need. Big Pharma doesn't want you to know about it, and that's what we're here. We're here to fight through that.
Simple, right? It's so simple. This immune system is so perfectly designed. We've just screwed it up, right?
Yeah.
Gotta get
Well,
it
as with any industry, anytime they become part of the machine, it's no longer beneficial to the individual.
Yeah.
And that's just with everything.
Well, and you know, Kim, we only got another minute or so. Kim, tell them your story about your tumor on your optic nerve.
Well, I've got a tumor on my pituitary in my brain, and it's non-cancerous, thank God. But after being on the mushroom for 2.5 months, my next MRI was scheduled. It didn't grow. Previous to that, it grew. So just a quick story. I'll probably go into more of it later, but it's not growing now. So
But 2 years now? 2 years that there's been no growth?
I started in January of 24. So not quite 2 yet.
Yeah. And your doctors are so excited that they don't want to see you for another year.
Right.
Whereas before they were seeing you like every 3 months.
That's
6 months.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So which product were you taking?
The Enforce, the regular, the basic one.
Okay.
That's what I took, Charity. And I took high doses of it, and I played with it, and it's amazing.
This is
Yeah.
the go-to for everyone.
Yeah.
This is the starting point. It's a capsule. You can open it. You can put it in your coffee. You can just take the capsule. This is the go-to for everyone. And then the complementary mushrooms you can add, but this is the go-to, and everyone should be taking this one. One capsule per 50 pounds of body weight for maintenance. And if you're dealing with something catastrophic like I was or like Kim was, double up, triple up if the budget allows.
Very
and it's
good.
easy to find on the website.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
freedombrigades.petclub.
If you go to freedombrigades.com and you can go to the link, or you can go to the freedombrigades.com. There are several different places that you can just click on the Club 24/7 and you'll see it there. Guys, this has been a fun show. I hope everyone's had a great Christmas, and I'm looking forward to a new year. We
Keep your
we can
baby
ask
safe
for
over New
26.
Year's. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Everybody just take care for New Year's Eve for these poor fur babies. We don't want them to get lost.
Absolutely.
And we'll
Thank
see you
for that
next year,
reminder.
right? Are we going to see everyone
We'll
next
see
year?
you next year. Which,
Next
yeah,
year.
Andrew. Well, hold on, Andrew. Wait.
Hold on.
you and
Oh,
I-
no, we're coming on New Year's
You
Eve.
put up with me one more time
Yeah,
this year.
cool.
On Wednesday, we're going to have a great show. Actually, we're going
With
to
Sheriff
have
Mack.
Sheriff Mack is coming
Yeah.
on. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Nice.
So, all right, we'll see you guys
All right,
then.
God bless.
Bye. God bless.
See you later. Bye.
Thank you.